in your opinion, in the industry, do you hear thank you enough? Do you want to hear more? I want you to comment below and I want you to let us know. How has gratitude affected you? What do you think about while you're on the road? Is it life? Is it money? Is it maybe getting home more often? You work the kind of job where you're out 6 months at a time? Do you think about world events? Do you think about ways to make trucking great again? Honestly, what do you think about? Today we're talking about the lack or the abundance of gratitude in this industry and the idea that the right mindset can have the greatest impact on today's from Truckin City Central Command. You are on the Frontlines. Truckin News.
The semi-truck driver accused of causing that deadly crash on Highway 285 this week now under arrest.
Cutting edge opinion. And we will make trucking great again. Built for truckers.
You should be hauling that freight based on what works for you.
By truckers.
Remember,
I got
get
it.
them done.
Featuring.
I think trucking is a very good career.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Majority of the blame is the companies.
And we don't do it just for us and our families. We do it for you guys.
Hosted by the El Rushbo of Truckin News, Boss Man. Technical difficulties rule the day. I'm having more of them lately, but hey, that's what makes everything unique. We are Truckin Frontlines. We are broadcasting from Truckin City Mobile Studios. We, despite the technical difficulties, are having more fun than any new show's allowed to have. Heidi ho and greetings, diesel lovers. Boss Man here giving you the news across the trucking industry and ways to make trucking great again. Welcome to another high-octane edition of Truckin Frontlines, where today we're diving into a subject that's close to the hearts of every trucker out there. The power of gratitude. That's right. You heard it. Gratitude, the game-changing tool that's driving more truckers to success, and when not utilized correctly, can actually assist you to epic failure. Stronger mental health and better days are what it's all about. And that's one of the topics of today's Boss Man's Opinion. Stick with us, because near the end of the show, that's what we're going to highlight and talk about. We're going to share stories, tips, life-changing strategies that can help you fuel your mind and soul, all while keeping your wheels turning. So guys, buckle up, bear with us, and comment below some of the things you think about while you're on the road. 860-785-3547 is our studio line. Give us a call. Let us know what you're thinking. Let us know how you get through your day, your life as a trucker on the road. Some of the things that definitely you struggle with. If you have a question, if you have an issue, let us know. Ask us questions. We'll certainly give you straight answers and want to entertain any conversation that helps you become better and wiser. Once again, 860-785-3547. If you think of ideas you'd like to utilize or send me maybe to have talked about on future shows, I welcome it. Send it to that's truckinnews@outlook.com. That's truckinnews@outlook.com. We are also easy to find, truckincitymedia.com. Always redirects you right here to this channel. Once a week, we have a frontline show, just as you see here, where everybody can help make trucking great again. One of the ways you fail is to stay silent. One of the ways you grow is to stand united and announce your presence. One road, one code. It's a strategy I developed to spread the word that growth through progress is done when you share ideas and work together to build a better trucking industry. We're not only here on the weekends with Truckin' Frontlines, but we are here during the week on what I like to call Truckin' City Journal. Together, a shared industry or a shared effort through videos and through podcasts. If I'm on live during the week, it's 7 o'clock at night. On the weekends, as you see now, it's usually around 7 o'clock on the weekends as well. So I share opinions with others in the industry. I share a lot of unique ideas and talents. And I want to welcome other panelists along for the ride to sharing some of the news stories we're going to talk about to open the show up, but then give you guys some words of wisdom along the way. So let's start with today's first news story. It's one in the realms of parking. I mean, how often do we get on the road and have to deal with difficulties parking? Quite honestly, often. So in the newsbreak.com CDL Life section of Truckin' News, the headline reads, Truck Parking Availability System launches for the I-10 Arizona Rest Area Corridor. They announced the launch of a real-time system to inform truckers about truck parking availability on I-10, a mere $2.8 million system that now uses real-time monitoring to track available parking and share that information to electronic signs, third-party sources, and apps used by truck drivers. They're also using federal funds to add up to 370 spaces at rest areas in I-10, Burnt Wells Rest Area, and other areas near Tonopah. According to a poll conducted in 2020 by this coalition developed for the I-10 corridor, 78% of truck drivers spend more than 30 minutes seeking safe parking. Now, this is an interesting statistic that came out of this article because I've seen statistics in other publications that differ from that. Tell me, guys, what do you think? And I'm specific in the story about it being just an Arizona issue. What are any one of you's thoughts about that article and what I just said about truck parking, just in any area that comes to your mind? What do you think, Poet?
Well, they spend a whole bunch of money on something that may or may not work.
And why do you say that?
Case in point, 10 miles east of me, there's a truck stop, a fuel stop, okay?
Yeah, okay.
And they have these discs embedded into the pavement
In the parking areas?
in the area.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
these discs, okay, are supposed to detect when there's a truck parked over top of them.
Mhm.
Now, 20 miles up the road and 20 miles down the road, there are signs saying so many parking spots available. They haven't been used in 2 years.
Wow.
Why go through all that trouble? Okay. Put up these $100,000 signs with the flashing lights and everything else. Why bother putting those discs? Uh, and that's all I can call them. They're whatever, discs with eyes in them, whatever. Um, why go through all that trouble to use them?
Well, yeah. So you're not necessarily for the progress of technology then. Now, that's kind of what I'm detecting. Or do you
No,
think it's overkill? Or do you think it's
I,
overkill?
I'm not saying that I'm against progress of technology, but if you're going to spend that kind of money, make sure it works, make sure it keeps working.
Yep.
Okay?
Right.
I mean, other than that, it's your tax dollar that's paying for wasting uh, space, time, efficiency, all the
Mhm.
rest of it.
Right. Right. All right. Humberto Guerrera, welcome to the show. Howdy doody to you as well. Again, if anybody in the audience got any thoughts on the stories as I read them, as they come, put it in the comments below. You can also call our studio line, 860-785-3547, or click on the StreamYard link in the chat. We will welcome any new faces to our panel if you'd like to contribute. Larry, what do you think? Do you think 2 point, what did I say it was? 2.8 million? Do you think that's overkill, or do you think more needs to be put in to help trucking in that area? It's been a while since you've been down that way, but I'm sure you probably have an opinion one way or the other.
It would help because I-10's a long highway.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
I mean, you can go miles and miles and see truck stops just full of trucks.
Right,
Rest areas full of trucks parked out to
right.
the ramp.
Yeah,
So if you know that there's no parking there, you can plan. Okay, let's see at the next one
yep,
if the information is accurate too.
yep, exactly.
So like Indiana's done something like that
Hmm.
at some of the rest areas. Like when you get on the other side of Indianapolis going towards Ohio, there's a really big rest area before 120, I think. There's a
Right,
flying J down the road, but there's a really big rest area there. If you can't
right.
find parking there, you're not going to find it anywhere.
No, no.
They've got
Well,
signs from Indiana coming out of 465 on the 70 towards Ohio, and I think
right,
there's one on the other side coming into Indianapolis.
right,
But if you sit there, you pay attention to the signs there, it tells you an estimate of how many parking spots.
right,
Like one will say this one has 6, this one has 36, this one, the big one has 101.
right, right,
Why would you, if that information is correct, then you have a better chance of planning. Okay, we're going to stop here instead of here.
right.
You know,
Exactly.
if you have more of because people swear off of trucker path, and that's not always accurate.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Yeah, well,
mean,
I mean, and I've noticed, just with the improvements they made along, you mentioned earlier the Indiana, Ohio section. I've noticed huge delays. I'll drive past these rest areas where these signs 10 miles back said there was 18 spots available, and I'll drive past them, there ain't one left. They're
right.
completely full. So there is a huge gap. This stuff they claim is real time isn't. So there's something that needs to be done there. Mhm.
So my question there is
Mhm.
this during the winter or the summer?
It's
Anytime.
what
Be-
winter.
because if the snow covers those eyes, those discs, they can't see what's on top of them.
What do you think them discs are made of, poet?
Uh,
They're not eyes. What they're made of is electronic wiring that's designed to sense the presence of metal or electrical signals over top. They're designed both ways, but they're essentially sensors. They are not affected by snow.
Okay.
So that's not a concern. Yeah.
Okay. Fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
A good idea. I mean,
if
you're thinking.
anyone remembers when the TAs used to have those little bubbles next to the parking spots.
Right.
That's what those were for.
Yeah. I've said for years it would help a lot of people if we could integrate this real-time strategy that they're using with what the I-10 corridor is attempting to do. If we can put real-time information at almost every truck stop, and some say, well, then you'd have to privatize it. No. I'm not looking to privatize it. Just put the information out there. If whatever company wants to charge for it or whatever, that's irrelevant, not affecting the real-time data. But the real-time data would go a long ways to helping people. Case in point is, a few trips that I've, run this week, real-time data, is lacking because, sometimes there's traffic jams I run up on that don't even show up on Google Maps. So yeah, there's a lot to be said for real-time data. And, the more we can improve things and put that information in the hands of the people when they're planning their trips, the better the industry will be, right? Thumper, you got an opinion one way or the other, my friend? I don't want to move on without giving you the opportunity.
Yeah, I don't know, I guess. I mean, the issue is that everybody wants to run at the same time, and then everybody wants to stop at the same time. If people were to space that out a little bit, it'd make our lives a lot easier on the parking.
Yeah, very true.
So,
very true. Very true.
That's kind of, I guess, all I really got to say about that.
Yeah.
But Thumper, I want to ask you something. Up here where we're at, you could pretty much go into any truck stop, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, and you'll find a parking spot.
Well, that's because all the people who normally run up here in the summer go down south because they don't want to be around the cold. But in the summertime, you asked me that question in the summertime. Once you've been here a summer, then you'll understand why I say what I say.
I'm not going anywhere, but
no, that's just what it is. Yes, right now up in the north, where it snows and everything else, there's a lot of truckers that go down south and they want to run in the warmer weather, and the ones who do stay up here, yeah, there's a bunch of parking and stuff like that. But once summertime rolls around, there's hardly anything.
Yeah. All right, let me move on to the next story, and the next one I think you guys will find interesting in terms of it being an update. Ice Pick Bandit punctures 296 semi-trailers in third link slashing spree. This story is featured in the drive.com and talks about there's been targeting of semi-trucks. Of course, everybody knows it across Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, and Texas that have been eyeballed, for a while. They have not found the person they suspect is killing all these tires and costing truckers thousands of dollars. According to a local news affiliate, Fox 16, most of these have occurred in the South Fork truck stop along I-30 outside of Burden, Arkansas. 40 trucks were recently targeted, resulting in damage to over 296 tires. This story's been featured. I'll leave the link in the comments during the show. I welcome you to check it out, read for yourself. The person suspected, I know we've seen this all the time, suspected as a white male, approximately 30, 40 years old, and has his preferred method of showing up with a baseball cap, t-shirt, and jeans, and an ice pick. And he targets everybody during the evening while they're sleeping. So let me show you a little bit of a news clip featured out of Arkansas talking about this very thing right now.
I think that's crazy that a guy slashed some tires.
Taj Lawrence says he'll have to rethink the way he travels after hearing of a semi-truck tire slasher in Columbia County.
Just to hear somebody slashing tires.
My technology decides to. I'm going to try this one more time. Why? Because I'm stubborn. And this is Frontlines. This is what we go through. Once again.
I think that's crazy that a guy slashed some tires.
Taj Lawrence says he'll have to rethink the way he travels after hearing of a semi-truck tire slasher in Columbia County.
Just to hear somebody slashing tires, that's one more thing you got to worry about. You already got to worry about somebody breaking your truck and different stuff like that. And some of these guys sleep in their truck. I don't. But imagine you sleeping in your truck, somebody slashing tires. What are you supposed to do?
Florida Highway Patrol troopers have not identified the suspect, but obtained video and photos of him in the act of slashing tires.
Florida Highway Patrol troopers say they have 6 reported incidents of tire slashings at 3 main exits, 1 on I-10 and 2 on I-75 at 41 and 441 in Lake City and on State Road 47.
Troopers say the cost of
You're
tires
still
can
playing
be
the video
for drivers.
If you got 18 tires and those tires can run anywhere from $300 to $500 a piece.
We can't hear you, boss man. We can only hear the news article.
Shouldn't be able to hear anything. Is there no audio now?
Now we can hear you.
Okay. See, I don't know what's going on. I'm using the Stream Deck and everything is going wonky on me tonight. So I apologize to those watching the show, but this is really freaky. Because I'm trying to do a lot of things with this new Stream Deck, but oh, man, it's weird.
I have a question.
What's that, Larry?
How are this slasher dude going and doing 290 tires in one night without
No, the 296 tires was a grand total over a short period of time in that area. That's what the news article is talking about. This was done just in Arkansas. I can't tell you how many tires this dude's hit in Tennessee, Florida, Georgia. I mean, places all over.
So then
this man has
he's got
done serious damage.
It's not just one.
No, this same guy is suspected of being responsible for this, you remember the article about the I-40 tire slasher going to, that truck stop on I-40 west of Nashville?
Yep.
That guy was responsible there. Then there was one on 24 coming out of Nashville heading south. Then there was another one that was down 75 heading toward Atlanta. Then there was another one in northern Florida, I think around Orlando. This guy's been bouncing around. They suspect he's still in a truck, and they suspect he's a truck driver, but that he's targeting certain trucks because he's, quote, a disgruntled trucker from another company. Personally, I don't think that story matches, but okay, whatever. How else do you explain he's gotten around 5 states? What's that, babe?
I want to talk about what you guys talked about a minute ago before I joined, when Thumper and Larry and stuff were talking about parking.
Oh, sure, by all means.
So Thumper made a comment, everybody wants to run at the same time, right?
Yes. Good point.
Okay.
Too.
You think that's a good point?
I do. I think that has a lot to do with
Thumper, I'm not being rude to you. I don't dictate my schedule. My customers dictate my schedule. The shippers and receivers dictate my schedule.
Right.
I don't choose to run the hours that I run.
Right.
The freight that I haul, the style of freight that I haul dictates that. Just like hauling cattle dictates that you have to get that done in a certain amount of time and work the hours that you guys work.
Right.
You don't dictate that. So like, I'm not choosing to drive the hours like in the time frame. I need to make it from point A to point B in a set time frame. I choose to drive the hours within that set time frame.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's that we want to work. We all want to work a 9 to 5 and then go park at 5:15. I don't think that's the problem.
No.
The problem is there just isn't enough spots. That's the problem.
Right. Yeah. Thumper,
am I wrong?
You want to respond to that, Thumper, or you have other ideas? I don't know if he's kind of in and out of his truck, so he may not be able to respond. I don't think you're wrong. I mean, you cannot control your schedule. You can only control how you go about it, i.e. routing. What's available is, what's available. You can't do anything about it. That's where what I was saying at the beginning of that segment, I was talking about, real-time information. If we had a better grip on real-time information, that would help us out. Because, as I mentioned, there was a huge delay in some of these signs. I don't know if you're familiar with what I was talking about at the start of the show, Scott. There was a huge delay between what I see on a sign and what's actually there at one of these rest areas. And that's just part of it. But I mentioned in shows way back when that the very thing that Poet was talking about should be integrated into truck stops. But I think it was either you or Midlife that on that very show, we talked about it, said, can you imagine how expensive parking would become if all the truck stops were forced to do that? You're right. That was a valid point. But my suggestion goes aside from that. Imagine if we could put that real-time information in it and get the truck stops out of it. Just know where the truck stop parking lot is and the availability of spaces. Take that out of the hands of the truck stops so that we know it's there. We know it's a waste of time before we get there. Let the truck stop handle whether they want to charge for it or not. That's all I'm saying. But that real-time info would go a long way to improving everybody's ability to find place to park and do a lot for your response to Thumper's argument too. Because after all, like you said, we can't help when the freight goes. It goes when it goes. So, what you say? Make comments here if you guys are cool with that. Griff in the house. God bless you, Griff. Thank you for joining us. Evening, guys. And he said, real time is good, but it could change 30 seconds after you pass it. Yeah, well, don't put it 10 miles before the place either. That's why it changes. If you put a real-time notice that there's 18 spots, 10 miles before, there could be 1,800 trucks between you and there. So that's probably a good point, and I agree.
Yep.
If you put a notice maybe a mile or two, a lot less chance that number's going to change. Or even 1 mile. There you go. I was trying to be generous. Go ahead, Larry.
How about this? We put a no vacancy or vacancy sign out front.
You want to turn truck parking into Motel 6, huh?
That way you don't even have to worry about going in the parking lot and getting all tangled up with another truck.
I hear that. Oh, my word. I tell you, my panel wants truck parking to turn into Motel 6. I think I've heard it all. I really do.
No,
Why not?
No, not your panel, just him.
Instead of no vacancy or vacancy, it says no parking or parking.
Yeah, there you go. I still can't get over that. You guys heard that thing after I hit stop share. That gives me an idea I'm going to have to toy with off this show later on. But
tire slasher thing.
Go ahead.
With everybody sitting in the truck stops and recording videos and doing videos and watching people back in, and nobody notices this guy walking around the truck stop.
There's one common factor I've noticed. The one in Tennessee. I know you know this truck stop, Larry. Don't tell me you don't. North 40. You know the truck stop I'm talking about? North 40 is a big lot. There's probably room for 50, 60, 80 trucks.
Mm-hmm.
But can you tell me one bad feature about North 40's parking lot?
It's dark.
Damn dark. So dark you can't even see the lines to back in. Well, it's a dirt lot. There ain't many lines, but there are some on the cement. You can't see anything. This guy, if he's a trucker, he's probably parking in one of those spots. Just before about an hour or so before he wants to start, what's perfect? Go around the dark lot, pop tires, whatever, get in your truck, haul buggy, and no one knows it. If it's dark, you can't see. And from what I understand, some of the stories I'm reading, this guy's targeting places just like that.
I have a problem with that too, because how many companies out here have cameras facing outside their trucks?
Right. But he's not approaching any truck from the front. He'd be stupid to do that. And how many times have we actually caught the pictures of him because people are smart enough to have them side view cameras. And when they detect motion, boom. But they're night vision, so you can't get the complexion, and all you get's the image as grainy as we see. So it's, it's real hard. This dude knows what he's doing. I mean, and I'm not trying to talk like I'm giving him props. I hate him. I'm sure I have industry does too. Huh?
Eventually, he's going to get caught and he's going to get hurt. He's going to mess with the wrong truck.
You can only hope that he gets caught by law enforcement instead of by a disgruntled trucker, because that's going to be a bad day for somebody. I mean, really.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I feel for the guy, really, because whatever struck him mentally to get to that point, that's got to be an interesting story in itself. But it doesn't justify doing that. It really don't.
No, it doesn't.
He's pissed that he can't find parking when he pulls into the truck stops.
That's probably it. Probably is too. Yeah, probably a good part of it.
Is
it's
it
all
worth?
It's all the trucks parked in the fuel island.
Is it worth getting shot?
I don't know. Why don't you find him after that happens and ask him? Moving on to the next story. Nearly 200 people submit testimony to delay advanced clean trucks rule in Oregon. A group of bipartisan Oregon lawmakers recently asked the Department of Environmental Quality to delay implementing rules that were supposed to take effect in 2027. One of the country's largest commercial truck manufacturers, Daimler Truck North America, earlier this year briefly paused truck sales to Oregon. I'm sure that you remember certain Oregon dealers making a big stink over that. Less than a dozen people of nearly 80 that were registered and able to speak during a public hearing on January 30th for the passage and information section of the House Bill 3119, which would prohibit the DEQ from implementing or enforcing the rules behind the advanced clean trucks rule until January 1st, 2027. The agency is scheduled to adopt permanent rules later this year. Literally 200 people qualified to submit testimony, and only 80 of them were actually cleared, and a dozen spoke. Think about that for just a minute. I mean, people have a problem with this. They want to have it stalled. They want to have it put through to have everything put off. Only a dozen of 80 out of the original 200. Something's got to give with this process. That's just my opinion. Hundreds of others have submitted written testimony, and numbers as high as 447 people have written comments, but only 310 were put in support of the delay. So, I mean, those are just some numbers, but that's recent. And hey, look, with Trump putting the stay on the EV mandate, this stuff going on, I don't know. What's your thoughts, guys? Give me an idea. What do you think? Go ahead, John. Or go ahead, Faye.
I think it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
However, I believe the state has every right to implement whatever laws they want to implement as a state.
Very true. Very true. Yeah.
You suffer the consequences of that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what makes America America. States have the right to do what the voters and the people want of that state, of that town, of that county.
Oh, yeah. Not a foreign opinion. You've had that before, and I totally agree with it and respect that. So,
you make the laws, you suffer the consequences, good and bad, of those laws.
True that. True that. Yeah. Larry, what do you think? Does it matter to you one way or the other? I mean, and I'm asking you mainly, Larry, about the numbers. I mean, think about it. Originally, 447 people commented. All right. And out of that, a limited number of people actually got qualified to testify and actually speak in the hearing. I mean, does that say they're not not the people. What I'm saying is does that say that Oregon really doesn't care to entertain this whole idea that they're trying to shelve House Rule 3119? Or do you think it's a way? Do you think they may think it's a waste of time? What do you think?
I think people like their diesel trucks.
Well, yeah, but passing 3119 would be in favor of those diesel trucks because they're trying to put a stay on a rule that would take effect in 2027. You know, and from what I'm reading in this article, I mean, correct. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong. It seems like the legal system's trying to put a curtail on doing that. They want to keep it up so it takes effect in 2027. You know, numbers don't lie. You know, if only 12 people out of the original 310 got to speak, that's less than 1%.
So the other ones aren't qualified.
Well, I don't know what that means. I mean, I'm just using the wording provided, but you know, I mean, how often do we put these things up? And like, for example, with the FMCSA, they say comment period, 45 days. We want your comments. Hell, one thing I put up earlier last year was talking about speed limiters. And I think the numbers were something like 16,000 comments were submitted. And out of that, they shelved it. I mean, they didn't even look at half the comments. They just shelved it. And here we are all this time later. We still haven't solved the issue. You know, so I see a similarity. I really do. What's that, Poet?
Question for you.
Sure.
Who qualifies the people that actually got to talk?
That I don't know. That wasn't available in the article. All it just did was provide the numbers and talk about so many commented, so many submitted applications, and only a dozen out of the latter 80 actually got to speak at the hearing. Okay. I don't know what that process is, but I don't like the numbers. It doesn't speak well.
It kind of goes back to a shrink, a psychiatrist, telling you that you're insane.
How do you compare that? I'm interested.
Who qualified to shrink? Who qualified to shrink? Who qualified to shrink? Who qualified to shrink?
What came first, the chicken or the egg?
Exactly.
Yeah, I hear you.
You know.
Good evening, John. With John, what's your thoughts on this whole matter? Welcome to the show, my friend.
You're gonna have to fill me in. I'm sorry, I was off in Wonderland until now, so I don't even know what we're talking about.
Okay, well, sorry to hear about that. Well, a group of nearly 200 people submit testimony talking about a bipartisan rule that's supposed to take into effect in 2027. And it's talking about the Department of Environmental Quality delaying implementation of a rule, House Bill 3119, which would prohibit implementation or enforcing the rule around the banning of or not no longer using diesel engines. So they were talking about that rule, and now they're wanting to put off the implementation of that rule until 2027. And what I found interesting was that originally nearly 200 people submitted testimony. Out of that original 200, 80 were selected, and only 12 actually presented their testimony to the hearing. Hundreds of others submitted written testimony, but only 200 were chosen. It was narrowed down to 80, and 12 spoke. So I don't know. What do you think? That's the law working away to?
So they're trying to extend it out so that it's not so soon. Is that what you're saying?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. In other words,
and is this a federal thing or a state thing?
Just a state. Just the state of Oregon. Recently, there was a story. I think you'll remember that. Dealers were being accused of holding back diesel sales because of what they feared was the impending rule coming into effect after, I think, 2027, no sales. So everyone was pushing EVs, right? And now that Trump's come up and said, well, he's putting a freeze on that and he's going to get rid of that. Now everybody's rethinking things.
Wait a minute. Don't say that. Don't say that. Trump is federal. Trump is federal. This is a state thing. This has nothing to do with Trump.
I was just about to say, if it's a state thing, then let the state do what it wants to do, and it will suffer the consequences of the rules it makes.
Right. I'm not saying that either one are tied to the other. Okay, I'm not saying that. All I'm doing is simply comparing precedent with precedent. That's all I'm doing.
No, I know,
And-
but I'm saying what you're referring to is a state thing. And if they
Right.
made a rule
Right.
saying they were going to have it or not going to have it, that's up
Yeah.
to that state. But
Well, now
just
that we're
know
going down a
just-
rabbit, now
but
that we're
just-
going down a rabbit hole, I didn't intend on. Let me just point out.
Just know that
What
when
good-
you make a rule, there's consequences, and you're going
Right.
to suffer the consequences.
Right. What good would one state out of all 50 do by passing a law, like that? When hypothetically, all 49 others only want to do it. That's all I'm saying. I mean, it's,
It all
the
starts
irony.
with one, man. It all
Well, I
starts
know
with
that.
one.
Well, that's how California got so powerful. That's, kind of where I was going with that. But, I mean, what? Go ahead, Faye. Go ahead.
So, Poet, mute
yourself
your
there,
mic.
Poet.
Mute
Yeah,
your mic.
Please.
Thank you. It doesn't matter if one state does it or one state doesn't do it.
Right.
That's neither here nor there. Like I said before, I mean, do I agree with the implementation of no diesel trucks in our state? No, I don't support that.
No.
But if that's what the state wants to do based on votes from the general public,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what I think. They have a
Right.
right. The people of Oregon have a right to a voice. You
True that.
can't take that voice away from them. Just like the
True.
people in California, no matter how absurd we might think certain things are, they're entitled to that. Like,
Right. Exactly.
And they suffer the
know,
consequences of that.
absolutely.
Good or bad.
Absolutely, John. I fully agree with you.
Yep. We have a caller on the line. Welcome to the caller. It's Griff joining us. What say you, my friend Griff?
Not a whole lot. How are you gentlemen doing this evening?
We are beautiful. How
If
about
I
yourself?
remember right, sorry. If I remember right, I think I heard about this story a little bit. Stuff Daimler wasn't selling any more vehicles because part of that was they had to sell a certain number of EVs on lot or something like that to sell their vehicles in the state. So they felt that they wouldn't be making any money, so they decided not to sell their vehicles in the state of Oregon. I may be wrong about that, but I think that's what part of that for the state of Oregon. But they're just cutting their own throats. Like Faye said, yeah, let the states do their own thing stuff. But just like right now, stuff, a lot of what California's been trying to implement's been kind of backtracking a lot mostly because of federal, but just because it's not practical.
I don't think they're backtracking. They are modifying, and I think they're analyzing what to do. I don't think anything's really. I don't think really anything's changed. I really don't. Not yet. I think they're waiting it out. That's just my opinion. But everybody, I think, would be smart to do that because they never know what's going to happen in this day and age. Because Fate pointed out earlier. I mean, you know what? You can't stop automation. You really cannot stop progress when you try to think about it. I mean, it's going to come. It's going to happen. And why not? I mean, if there's a way of getting better fuel mileage, you'd be crazy for thinking of it, I mean, electric ain't the answer, but if you can run a business cheaper, aren't you going to look into it? I mean, Fate, am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. And
Yeah,
I don't know. Electric could be the answer. I
Maybe.
mean, it I don't see how right now, but it might be the answer. Those electric trucks, John's gonna laugh real quick. Like, talk about torque. Those electric trucks are amazing. They really are. They are better than what I'm in. Now that doesn't mean
That's not saying
that
much.
that I want it to be the only option. You know what I mean? But
they are amazing for what? 400 miles.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
No, you're 100% right.
Yeah.
That's why I said I don't see it as a possible clause right now.
Listen,
But
we don't know where it's going to go. Could be electric, could be a lot of other things, but it's going to happen eventually. The more laws they make to make it happen doesn't make it happen any faster.
Yep.
That's the
Very
thing.
true.
Innovation comes when innovation comes. It doesn't come
Yeah.
when it's told to.
Yep.
So
Back to my original point, though. Griff, let me ask you something. I pointed out in that story the main thing that I felt was interesting was the divergence of numbers. You know, you had so many people that were originally interested in submitting comments, and it whittled down to as little as 12 people at the end of it all. What are your thoughts about that?
Sometimes they probably looked over all 200 and they just picked the 12 that was most relevant to their cause on it. So, too, that could be a possibility of it.
Yeah.
On that.
Well, what do you?
Heck, if there was a conversion kit to make my truck into a hybrid and double my mileage, I'd gladly do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah. What do you? And good point. What do you think of Poet's earlier comment about, well, who qualifies the qualifier? Who qualifies the qualifier? What do you think of that? I mean, does that come to mind when you say what you just said?
Well, it's just like when you vote for somebody, you're voting for them thinking that they're qualified to go do their jobs, but they prove themselves that they're not capable of it. But it's just one person saying that they're qualified, or somebody that's in charge of a group stuff saying, "Oh yeah, they're qualified," and it's just like when you're dealing with different people that don't know jack about trucking stuff, and they're trying to make all these regulations and all this other stuff that they need to implement against the truckers, when it's usually the truck drivers. It's like it's going the total 180, and
Right.
It's just putting you against a brick wall.
Right. Well, and then too, I mentioned the story earlier in the year that I highlighted about the speed limiters and some of the rulemaking that was being discussed by FMCSA. Some of the rulemaking processes have had as many as thousands submitting comments, and in my eyes, it'll be interesting to see what happens in the years coming, because I remember some of the numbers, but now you've got a change of leadership, and the people that are going to be looking ahead in the next couple of years are not the same people that have been dealing with the rulemaking processes and what's going on in the last couple of years. So it'll be interesting to see how that changes. And I'm wording this generically because I'm not making this a Democrat-Republican point. I'm making this just a leadership point, okay? Because past shows I made that mistake. Go ahead, babe.
Okay. Let's be clear about this. Because even though you try desperately not to make it a right or left issue, by what you said, you already did that. And I, by no means am I saying you're wrong in what you said, because I don't think you are wrong in what you said. I think
Seriously,
you do have a different.
I was referring to leadership from MCSA, but yeah, go ahead.
But listen, like, it doesn't matter who the F the president is. Okay, let's get that out of the way, right? And for everybody watching this, take that out of the way. You talk about speed limiters. Speed limiters is not pushed by the president or a Democrat or anything like that. It's pushed by the insurance companies. They're the ones that are absolutely.
Okay.
If the insurance companies can control the speed of every commercial vehicle on the road, they're going to do that.
Okay.
They're in charge. Like, if you look at major, like your Primes, your Hirschbachs, your, every mega carrier, they are all governed. They're governed for a reason. A, profitability. B, when they get sued because they're self-insured up to X amount of dollars, to get that insurance with the amount of vehicles that they have on the road, they have they have plausible deniability that their truck was speeding because it's governed.
Right.
Their rates are going to be lower on that insurance that they need to get after their self-insurance is up.
Right. Yep.
You know, insurance companies are the ones controlling that.
Yeah.
Insurance companies and the lobbyists are going to the FMCSA saying, let's make these rules. Let's make these rules. And like what Griff said, we don't have a trucker sitting there saying, this doesn't make sense, guys. Like, we don't have that. And I guess I can only speak for myself. You know, if you want to elect me to go sit in those meetings, I'll be 100% honest with you. Money talks, man. I would probably fall in line and be taking a check.
Yeah, let's go in order.
Let's be real.
Poet, you first. You were raising your hand first. Go ahead, guys. Go quick because I'm trying to move on to the next topic.
Who?
So, Fate.
Hold on. Poet first, then John.
Fate.
Go ahead.
I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
Ontario, Canada, the whole province. Put speed limiters in. Even if you were out of province, out of the country. If you were to go into Ontario, you had to have a speed limiter to 105 kilometers an hour.
Right.
What nobody realizes is, at 105 kilometers an hour, I could be doing 105 and buddy behind me could be doing 105, but he's really doing 106. So now we're into the elephant racing thing.
Right. Yep.
On top of that, there was a 44% increase in crashes because of that very thing.
Yep.
And a lot of guys, a lot of people.
I would definitely research that.
Yeah,
You're talking that's a big number you just threw out, Poet. Like, that's absurdly big. I'll Google it right now.
There you go.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
While he's doing that, John, you go ahead. You wanted to make a point?
I was actually just going to kind of back up what Bates said. Basically, anytime you want to find out how a law is made, follow the money. It's always about the money. It's not about truckers. It's not about anything other than the money. And insurance companies have the money, they can pass the laws. Whether it's the country we live in, it's the world we live in. It's just the truth.
Very true. Very true. Very true.
So in other words, green talks and you walk.
Pretty much.
Is that how you're going to word today?
Couldn't come up with anything else.
Hey, boss man, I'll be right back.
All right, go ahead, John. Griff, any final thoughts before I move on to our highlighted segment of the day?
Unfortunately, when it comes to speed limiters, in my opinion, there are certain people that do need speed limiters, like the ones that don't know how to drive in the snow. They decide to do 75, 80 miles an hour on ice-packed roads.
Yep.
Stuff and cause a lot of majority of the accidents and stuff and everything.
Right.
But that's just on how they're taught and their mentality of it. So.
Yep.
I was just gonna say that's how they're trained to do that, and they're not trained or they're improperly trained.
Yep.
Sorry.
Well, Griff, I invite you to watch the rest of the show and stay tuned because the next segment, if you want to call back and weigh in, I certainly welcome it.
Welcome. Thank you.
All right. God bless. Keep the faith and keep it rolling, my friend.
All right.
Fate, before I move on, what'd you find out, Mom?
Yo, honestly, I'm going to pipe in here real quick.
Go ahead.
What really kills the industry is, like, for accidents and stuff like that, since we're on the topic of speed limiters and stuff, are those trucks who are doing 65 mile an hour and they go past each other and the other one can't get enough oomph to get around the other one. You're constantly sitting there, and you could have another truck or a four-wheeler come flying up as fast as they can, and all of a sudden they're slamming on their brakes, then that next person slams on the brakes. Oh no, this person over here is texting on his phone, That's what causes accidents. It'd be nice if they
But
had
that's
something
not
where
the
you can get
commercial
around them.
vehicle's fault. Everything
Well,
you
no.
just explained was every other driver except the commercial vehicle. Even if they are running side by side, that's not the commercial vehicle's fault.
What
That
I'm
is
getting,
every other
hold on,
driver.
Fate, hold on. I'm not saying it's the commercial's fault. What I'm saying is it would be nice if they could have that little extra oomph to get around the people where it wouldn't bottleneck up like that, is what I was getting at.
It's called elephant races.
What I say would probably go a long way to solving some of that issue is if not only are the trucks commercially regulated, I think the cars need to be regulated as well. I think everybody, if they're generically the same speed, a lot less of that interaction problem will probably happen. And I've said that for years. Go ahead, Babe.
We're already limited. It's called speed limits. Nobody follows them. Let's just be honest. Nobody follows them. We're already limited. My quick Google search: fatality crashes in Ontario, Canada, involving commercial vehicles was down 31% with the introduction of speed limiters.
Right. There you go. So
that's a big number.
Yep.
Yeah.
Poet, unmute
You are
yourself.
mute. Yeah,
Unmute
you're
yourself.
muted, buddy. All right. Somebody's playing games with this. Hang on a second.
Yeah, I know.
Go ahead. You were going to say?
That's fatalities.
Right. What is that?
Yeah, that's a huge thing. Down
Right.
31%.
I did not say fatalities. I said accidents.
Okay, but Poet, you're an insurance company, right? You're running an insurance company. Hold on, listen to me here.
I'm listening.
Your payouts from a commercial vehicle crashing into a car and killing somebody is astronomical. You will be sued, pay out millions and millions of dollars, correct? If you can bring that down and more.
Your signal's jumping in and out, Fate. So you might want to check your signal because you're seriously cutting in and out, Fate.
Yeah,
so.
I noticed that.
Yeah. Now you're better. We can hear you now.
No. And Fate, I understand. Okay.
Yep.
I hear what you're saying.
Yep.
Okay. The amount of accidents on account of different races, okay, has jumped sky high. Yes, maybe the fatalities have gone down. Tomorrow, I am turning in my license. Okay, I will no longer be on the highway.
Oh.
No.
Good or bad?
It's bad for me.
For you. I'm asking a personal feeling question. Is that good or bad for you?
It's bad for me. It's good for the general public.
There you go. Okay. There's always got to be some good in it.
Well, yeah.
Trying to give you your opportunity to have a lighthearted moment, but go ahead. Finish the point you were making.
No, not gonna happen. Yeah, tomorrow's my birthday. My license comes due. I'm gonna get downgraded because I refuse to spend $150 on a medical that I'm not gonna pass.
Yeah.
Why
Well, it's a
would I?
personal choice. Everybody has no choice but to respect that. In the end, you have had a long career, 54 years.
55 tomorrow.
What's the regret about that, my friend? I think it's done a lot. But anyway.
Yep. No, and I
you got no room. You got no room for regret, my friend.
I don't.
Exactly.
6 million miles, 55 years.
There you go.
And I can still talk to you guys.
You got it. Every day if you want.
Every day.
Yeah.
So, Fate, I understand where you're coming from. Okay.
Yeah.
You've taught a bunch of shit over the years. months, whatever. Thank you.
Yep. You guys, all of us get together for one purpose. That's to help make trucking great again. We do it through conversation. We do it through questions and answers. That's how the job's done. That's how we do it.
Yep.
Guys, I'm going to change focus for just a moment because I don't want to bore sticking on one topic for very long. We can come back to this if we want to. Well, let's talk right now about a recent story we've seen. I don't want to focus so much on the story, but a really good concept out of it, and that's gratitude. We're seeing out of the stuff that's happening in California a true testament to the power of community and generosity. And as we know in this world of trucking, it isn't always sunshine and rainbows. And sometimes we're stuck dealing with difficult situations mile after mile, right? But here's what's incredible. People are starting to come around to the idea that help is good. And in fact, we need more of it. Now more than ever. Over the past 2 weeks, fires have raged in California. We've witnessed something through all of that tremendous horror that you see on the news every day. Huge outpourings of support, truckloads of donations, disaster relief rolling in from local communities, regional groups, and even nationwide organizations. And the same is true recently of the Western North Carolina area with Helene. We're seeing in action a lot of generosity. It's something that should inspire any one of us because it proves that helping each other doesn't just make a difference. It saves lives. Now, we've all been there. We're faced with situations that test our patience. I can't really compare to California or Helene, but recently I've suffered some setbacks. And I'm telling you that you really have to stop and ask a question I've asked many times. How many of you have been in a tough spot, something that was really rough and really bothered you and really seemed almost impossible to get over, but looking back many, many years or months later, you can now see how all of that put you in a place where you can now help someone else. This is a moment I want you to call in and talk to me about. I want you to reflect for just a moment. What was your worst experience in trucking? And how did that worst experience turn around and become the best providing help to you? Let's think about that for just a moment. Because I think about a lot when I'm on the road. I think about many things. I've been up and I've been down over 14 years in this industry. And the one thing I've noticed is that in that 14 years, I've seen a shift. More and more people nowadays are waking up to the fact that helping's not just an option. It's a necessity. Not too long ago, I seen people turning their back and thinking about it's me first. And you see a lot of that on social media. But I'm curious to know what you think. Do you feel like it's changed? And do you feel like it's happening fast enough? What do you think? What say you, Larry?
First of all, I don't reflect. I'm a vampire.
Yeah, right.
No. Anyway, a lot of people know that I was with Hurricane the last time before I came to work for Thumper.
Yep.
Didn't realize at the time how much it was actually screwing.
Okay.
You know, not until Thumper pointed it out to me. So
I think a few of us did, but Thumper was the most vocal that I recall.
You know, coming to work, not just because he's here, but
yep,
I've seen a change in myself, my attitude that wasn't here 5-6 years ago.
Right.
So I'm more of a loner. I'm usually, you know, wherever the road takes you. But I guess being with you guys here, it's kind of opened my eyes up. So
right. Okay.
That's helped me.
Anyway. What about you, Thumper? What do you think about?
Pass.
Oh, yeah, okay. All right. Hey,
Well,
what about you?
Just come back to me. I'm in a really bad situation right at the moment.
All right, focus, man. Focus. Don't let life get you. What about you, Phil? Fate, what about you?
Well, I've had good and bad days in trucking.
Mhm.
I would say for the longest time, even though I've had different positions in this industry other than driving the truck, I used to carry this big stigma, or I would say I'm just a truck driver. I was not happy with the where life had brought me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where I thought I was more than a gear jammer. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it probably like 10, 11 years ago is, I realized that trucking has provided me a very, very good life.
Mhm.
And my attitude towards trucking changed, if that makes any sense.
No, well, see, for everybody, it's different. I mean, I bring it up mainly because, I mean, I see a lot of hate, and I really, it kind of bothers me when I see it. I mean, I'm not going to name call because you and I, Fate, we've had this conversation, and I've called out names, and the two of us disagree on some of the venues, but the overall the theme of discussion, I think, to one degree, took the turn of if we're in a position to help, it's nice to. But if we're also in a position to criticize, we want to do it in a way that hopefully helps the person you're criticizing. And a lot of people, as I mentioned at the start of this, I think have too much of a me first, regardless of their ability, whether they can help or can provide good advice and that kind of thing. And a lot of shows, one thing I've pointed out is the more people share what they know, the bigger the benefit is to those that don't, you know?
Okay.
So go ahead, Fate.
Can I speak on that real quick?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, you're right. So take this for what you want, and I think I know what you were talking about.
Right.
Once again, not naming names, but
right.
But that's not trucking.
Right.
That's social media.
True. Yeah, you're right there.
Yeah. If you want the views, you talk about the good, bad, and ugly, and you make fun of people, and you do stuff like that.
True.
The reality is, people don't like real information. They don't want to watch real information because it's fucking boring. Oh, I am so sorry.
No. Keep going. It's way late in the show. Don't worry about it. I just don't worry.
It's boring.
Yeah.
I definitely have a me first attitude. I'll be the first to admit that. But I also have compassion. I have empathy.
But you will also, if you're running, and I know this, you're running down the highway and you see somebody in the middle of nowhere that needs you to stop and get, at least you'll stop and check on them.
Yeah. I would do that.
Okay, but now don't get me wrong. I mean, what I talked about earlier, I mean, the whole name unmentioned thing. You're right. And the me first thing I'm talking about is just, take for example the California fires, the Helene situation. Nobody's really forcing people to donate, but they do. And to donate and to help others, that's not a me first thing. That's a help if you can thing. And it's a far cry from, the type of person that, I don't even want to mention names on this, but there was a story in Houston about a evangelist shutting his doors to hurricane victims. Whether it was a safety issue or not, the man had the capability of helping, and for whatever reason, he didn't. So there you got the dichotomy of two differences. You got one that can, and you got one that chooses not to. And that's kind of the bridge I'm trying to cross here. I've gone through a lot in my life, and I've gotten to a point where, I can't really help people, but because people have helped me, I'm now who I am, and I'm presented the show, and I've gained a lot from others' time, advice, knowledge. So when I'm able, I'm going to reciprocate that. And the open to the last segment is just saying, hey, look, I'm noticing more people like that, and it would be nice to see more. And That's what I'm trying to provide is the inspiration and the idea that, yeah, keep it up. Let's do it. Let's keep up, because mental health doesn't fix itself, you know, and there's a lot of people out there that need to ask the question. So we need to be ready to give that advice, you know, and I'm grateful that y'all are, doing what you're doing. I'm going to get on some comments here. If I had a means to help, I would, but my first concern is taking care of me and my truck. But if it had extra time, I would gladly help. Griff, I understand that totally. You know what? Just like me, I can't do a whole lot for people, but if I can, I will. It's just, can what I do help without hurting me? That's the choice I've got to make. Cheap Freight Hauler, welcome back, my friend. It's been a month of Sunday since I've seen you around. Glad you're here. Over the last decade, we have definitely became a me-first society. Yeah, I think so. I definitely agree with that. It's happened. Recently, however, I'm noticing that shift, though. Go ahead, Faith. Uh-oh, we triggered him. I see the face.
Okay. If we're just a me community, then why do so many people go and help other people out when a natural disaster? Explain that one to me.
Oh, I just asked that earlier. I think you missed that.
Because we can.
Well, yeah.
Well,
I see more people helping other people out when there's a natural disaster, but if somebody's broke down on the side of the road, it's the big middle finger.
Well, no, because we just talked with Fade a minute ago. He would stop gladly and help us. So,
I still do.
The average person will do exactly what Fate and I talked about a minute ago. They will stop and at least check on somebody. If they can't help, they can't help. But, I agree with you, Thumper. There isn't enough people helping, and we need to do more, which is the whole purpose of the whole segment. But I don't want to go that out. I don't want to go that route of accusing everybody being me first. So I think, yeah, I'm gonna kind of agree with both of you on that one. I have to. I really do. Because my segment opened up with, we don't see as much as we should, but yet we are seeing more.
Can I say something real quick, and then I gotta go.
Go ahead. I see what.
Maybe it's where I live, and maybe it's how I grew up. Right.
Yeah, right.
I understand that, but like I live in a community, so I live basically. I don't live on it, but my road runs into a cul-de-sac, right?
Right.
And on my block, there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. 14 houses.
Right.
I would say half of those houses have young children. The other half have, high school age kids, like my kid, my daughter, right?
Right.
Our entire neighborhood has helped each other out from the moment I have lived there.
Right.
I do think there is a time to put yourself first, 100%. Right. If you don't, there's a detriment to your growth. I also agree with what Cheap Freight Hauler said about, society's changed so much that stopping and helping somebody could end up you in a casket. I mean, that's the reality, or it could end up in a lawsuit. I was a trained first responder for years, right? I was going to go a different career. So I was a trained first responder for years. And one of the things that I learned by doing some of that work was everything that I do when I am trying to help somebody could lead to me and the company I worked for getting sued for millions of dollars. You know what I mean? So you sometimes do have to put yourself first. But I think America is a beautiful place. We can disagree, fight, and argue all we want, but when our neighbors need help, I do think we show up. We saw that in my lifetime with September 11th. We've seen that with the natural disasters that have happened recently.
Yep.
You know.
Yep, I agree.
I gotta run, guys. God bless all of you.
Thank you for showing up, man. You keep it
I
real.
hope you all
keep it
have a
faith.
great weekend.
Yes, sir.
Thanks,
Sunday,
Ray.
isn't it?
Safe travels, my
Yeah.
friend.
Take care, guys.
Take care.
You bet.
Don't worry, you missed the opening, so did I. I missed it too because according to my sources, my audio was all screwed up. So,
Oh well.
anyway, moving on beyond the joke, he's mostly referring to the attitude of people when a shortage occurs, like toilet paper, gas shortage when disaster happens. I was thinking about stopping to help. Yeah, I mean, more to that. I mean, I would like to see the shift I spoke of that I noticed continue on. And I think a lot of that has to deal with what we do out here improving. Okay. So I want to shift gears a little bit and away from the story and stay in the same conversation, but I want to ask an important question. And you can put it in the comments in the audience and join the conversation 860-785-3547. Are you getting the support you need as a trucker? I mean, when you're on the road, think about it. Your mental health is what defines failure from success. You either got what it takes or you don't, you need help. There is no middle ground. And myself and one other panelist have been in great talks. I mean, long, lengthy talks until 3, 4 in the morning sometimes. And one thing him and I both agree on, mental health is suffering overall in this industry. It needs to be focused on. So the whole segment support reason is to increase that awareness, to help him with his message, and to ask, are you getting what you need? If not, have you considered asking the question? Laurie, what do you think?
What do I think about mental health?
And
Or-
asking the question. That's an important question when you think about it. People
always
generally don't ask.
Ask questions.
Mhm.
You're never going to get an answer if you don't ask.
Mm-hmm. You're one that can personally attest to struggling. So you relayed a story last night. I mean, you don't have to get personal, and I'll understand if you don't, but summarize that story and how difficult it was for you to basically arrive here. That might open some people's eyes.
Well, I mean, it like with hurricane or
just getting to the point where you're at today. Because as I recall, you once related to me that you used to be a seriously reserved and introverted person. You were not one to speak to others.
I didn't.
And here today, you are. So if you ask me, that's a 360.
I would literally ignore everybody.
Right. So what do you think is responsible for that flip? Here you are today on every one of my shows. I mean, this one down here says you're the most mouthiest one here. Yeah, I'm talking about you, John. No, I'm poking fun. But seriously, today you're mouthy. You never used to be that way. What happened?
What's helped me is you guys. No, I mean, that's the honest truth. I mean, before you guys, this phone would never go off.
Yep.
This phone would never ring.
Right.
Except for dispatchers or whatever.
Yep. What about, what do you think started that, though?
Huh?
What do you think started that, though?
Grumpy.
Not talking about person, action. I'm talking, what do you think started that?
To open up or...
Okay. Can I be a smart ass on that question?
I'm just going to beat this one into you because you're not answering the question because you don't remember last night's show. What started it, Larry, was you asked what?
What got him to spoke up is he actually learned how to open his mouth.
More to the point. Thank you, Thumper. That was funny. More to the point, you asked a question. The first time you spoke to me, you asked me a question. And you haven't shut up a word since then. I'm joking. Seriously. John, what do you say to you?
Did you say John?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just sitting here watching you berate the poor quiet guy.
Oh.
Saying he talks too much when he never friggin' talks at all.
Right? I know.
I do too. Don't no.
Yeah, right there. See? No,
Yeah.
as mental health goes, this is what I gotta say about it.
Mhm.
I don't think a lot of people realize what truckers go through. We're out here isolated, away from our families,
Yeah.
dealing with our work, all the other stuff in that environment, all the home stuff going on, and then all the other stuff going on, and we're dealing with all of it at one time.
Right.
That can be more than a lot of people can handle. And there has been times where I'll shut down and just shut myself off to the world to kind of reset my brain for
Yeah.
that purpose. Because if we don't find ways to safeguard ourselves from that collapse, when it collapses, it'll collapse hard.
Yep.
So yeah, get help. For me, I isolate. I know that's usually the wrong thing to do, but it works for me.
Yep.
I spend a
Hey,
couple
Bo.
of days just reading my Bible and reflecting on what's important in life, and then
Yep.
I usually get myself mentally back to a good place.
There you go. And there's also a good way to get your mental health back in check. Take on a pet.
I want to add
That's a
something to
great
that,
picture.
John.
Go ahead, John. Go ahead, Larry.
Hey, don't call me by my government name.
I was talking to him, then you. Go ahead.
Oh, anyway, I wanted to add something to that.
Go ahead.
That's all fine and dandy. You know, yeah, you guys have, I always say this all the time. You guys have more on your plate than I do.
No, I think everybody's equal on that.
I mean, I literally have my two daughters who are 23 and 24 now, have their own lives, so they really don't have much to do with me. But at the same time, I don't have all those headaches that you guys do.
Yep.
And I could
Cheap freight hauler
disappear.
just before you showed up, Fate was receiving paperwork. So it's not because he hates you, it's because he's trying to make money. Keep going, Larry.
And I can disappear for months and months and months at a time without blinking an eye.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be back.
Yep. Go ahead, John.
Which isn't healthy at all either.
No. Yep. Cheap freight hauler says Larry finally found a group of people that's on his level. I feel dumber after taking some of those guys. No, that's not cool. That's not cool. But hey. Hey, jokes, guys. Anyway. Cheap freight hauler, you are welcome in. You are amongst a class of brilliant people. So
yeah, I mean, it's taken a lot of you guys. I mean, you, Grumpy, even Thumper here recently. I mean, we met up on TikTok.
Yep.
You know, and we've been talking ever since. So it helps me stay the sane person that I am.
Yep. There you go. What do you think, guys? I'm gonna go around and ask you. What do you think in this industry? What do you think is missing that would probably be the best way in which to increase and help mental health of all of us drivers? What do you think's missing?
The very same thing that we are doing right now. The camaraderie, the staying in touch with each other, commiserating with each other's problems.
Right.
Trying to figure out what we can do to help each other. Okay.
Right.
Let me tell you something. My biggest gratitude is this show, this live, okay?
Right.
Along with Grumpy's, it keeps me sane. So, no, I'm not going to put it in the comments, but here we are.
Talking to the viewers. Hey. So, like me, guys, have you seen a shift in how communities come together? And more after, let me ask you this. Truckers. And do you think that it's something we should be focusing more on and actually working to improve? What do you guys think?
Of course we should.
Yep. What do you think, Thumper?
When truckers come together, it seems to be always during a natural disaster.
Mm-hmm.
It really does. If we could carry that on 365 days, this community, this family,
right,
and everything would be a lot better.
right.
It really would. We would help each other. You know, that's the main thing here. And to I'm holding something right now, so I'm getting a little choked up right now.
Okay. Hold that thought, Thumper, because I got one more question that I hope will perfectly segue into it. And I want to cover it because I think it's going to be valid and very, very poignant to hear from all three of us on this. So hold that thought for just a minute. When it comes down to mental health, guys, do you ever feel disconnected from the world when you're driving? And when you think you are disconnected, how do you cope with that mentally? Do you stare off in the distance? Do you reach out and touch a loved one? Do you write it down? What do you do? Get in touch now. You're on the live. You're on the live. You have the benefit of commenting. Do so if you like. If you're watching this on the replay, I want you to put something down in the comments. I want this to be on record because this needs to go out to more people. We need more action like this. Spread the wealth, share the knowledge. Let's start building a team together. Poet, you first.
I get a hold of one of you guys.
Yep, there you go. Good to know. Larry, what about you?
I write stories.
You write stories. Well, and I know you could do a pretty good job too, to be honest with you.
That helps
What
me.
benefit do you get from that?
If someone gets enjoyment out of it.
Okay. I mean, does it make you feel fulfilled in helping somebody with a struggle? Is it just relate? Is entertainment? What's the thrill?
To take off. It's basically to take their mind off their everyday issues.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
good to know.
If anyone, I don't know if anyone listens to audiobooks.
Poet, can you mute your mic, please?
Yeah, please.
Sorry.
No, keep going.
I don't know if anyone listens to audiobooks or not, but I used to all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So you could be driving down the road and be 1,000 miles away at the same time.
Yeah, very true. Very true. So, what about you, Thumper?
Yeah.
Well, this guy right here, for one.
Yeah.
He's
Now you know why. Now you know why I said a good segue. I think he just goofed his audio. We'll let him fix it. He'll fix it. He'll be back in just a minute. Guys, I'm going to talk about myself while he's fixing his audio.
I got everybody calling me right now, so I got to make this really, really quick.
Okay.
that guy right there, he wants to go run around, so I'm gonna go let him run around for a minute.
Right. There you go.
And I kind of opened up a little bit last night. Since I've been on the road for 20-some years, I've tried to take my life about 12 times now. Because I don't feel like I'm worth it. I don't feel like I'm doing good enough for my family. I got 4 kids. I got 2 sons, 10 and 12, and I got 2 daughters that are 4 and 2, and they're beautiful kids. And just recently, I had lost my dad, my stepdad, and him and I never saw eye to eye, but he was there for me, and he did support everything I did. Well, the last gift that he gave me, sorry.
Take your time, buddy. Take your time. It's all you, bro. We're here for you.
The last gift he gave me before we said goodbye was this vial right here. This is his heartbeat before we did that we didn't want him to go through. through it anymore. He had some heart problems and stuff, and that's kind of what pushed him over. But this sits in the truck with me every day.
When you get to a point where you face that need to reach around and pick that vial up, what gets you through the day? What makes it possible for you to continue on and wake up the next morning?
Him telling me if I give up, he's gonna kick my ass.
There
he
you
was
go.
he was a former Marine, so
He was.
he was kind of hard on me. He pushed
Yeah.
me to my limits and everything. He
Yeah.
was a really good guy.
Yeah.
But having a dog helps.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm out here for my kids.
Yeah.
I'm out here trying to improve myself every day.
Yeah.
And I do. I want this to be a good community.
Right. Well, moreover, I think if we do our part to help others in the industry, we do a lot to help ourselves. So the whole entire reason behind both this channel, my asking you to come back day after day, week after week to do this show is right there in that statement. And it resides in that story you just told about that item in your hand. That means so much to you. And what that does for you, I hope others in the industry can take that as an example. Reach out and touch others in the industry, because that's what will make trucking great again.
You could ask Boss Man. Last night I thought I lost this thing, and I freaking destroyed my truck
He
looking
did.
for it.
He did. Yes, he did indeed.
I guess the best word of advice I give to people is just to start respecting one another. A little bit of respect goes a long way. And I'm not an emotional guy, but this really hit home.
Right.
I hope you guys all enjoy it. I hope you take the advice to heart and everything else, and work one another. And just like I always say, we don't do the, or God bless everybody. Work with each other. We can get through it. We don't do this just for us and our family. We do it for you guys.
We do it indeed for everybody.
You bet.
Dumper, every day is a blessing. When we can come into this place, leave with sage advice, teach others what we know, that's when we know we've made trucking great again. If you're feeling down and worn out or disconnected, don't be afraid. Reach out, ask, talk to a fellow trucker, a loved one. Be surprised about the difference it makes. Tell them the world, make trucking great again is what we do best here. Leave us a comment. Join us next week, Saturdays or Sundays at 7 o'clock. We'll have yet not a great show, but a better show. Remember, guys, it's not the end of the world. Help a friend, beginning of a journey that'll never end. It's trucks that make deliveries, but it's you that make the difference. Till next video or live stream, remember, guys, keep it real. It's safe. Hey, rolling.